So I just finished Daredevil Born Again, and I gotta say, that shit was a mess. And the main reason for the season being a mess is because the studio wanted to distance themselves from the original show as much as possible. And then it eventually came out that the talent of the team were very upset with the current state of the show, that they even had to bring in the writers of the Loki show to save this season. So they ended up reshooting a lot of the season, but they ended up keeping most of it. And the parts that they kept in are the parts that people are pissed off about, because they reshot episode 1 and the last 2 episodes. And I'm gonna spoil something for you. Those are by far the best episodes in the season, without question. And really the main issue that I have is that they strayed away from the original show so much that they ended up forgetting about so many integral parts for each of these characters. Karen Page isn't even in this season that much. I mean, for the Punisher, that kind of makes sense, but she is a character from the original Daredevil show, and she's not in here at all. The Punisher is barely in the show at all, and I genuinely don't understand why the show doesn't want to have more of Matt Murdock and Frank, because that is something that season 2 of the original show had a huge problem with. They had a great casting of John Bernthal as the Punisher, and Matt Murdock and Frank had a great bond. As far as the dynamic duo between Frank and Matt, it was very interesting to see it in season 2 and to see it at all if it shows up. But again, in this season, and much like in season 2 of the original show, we have two great actors and two greatly received characters that aren't in the show. And I would much rather see the Punisher and Matt together than fucking Kingpin and Vanessa.
Husband and I have been through a lot these last couple of years.
Like, why it's ridiculous to say that, because I shouldn't have to say that, because I think everyone that watched the original show loves Frank and loves Matt and loves seeing scenes when they're together, even if it's just for a few minutes. But the fact that they don't really have so many scenes together in the show is ridiculous, considering how much their polar opposites are involved. Like, we have a task force that is branding themselves as the Punisher, and then we have Poindexter, who's on the loose, and fucking Matt Murdock doesn't care, and the Punisher also doesn't care until the very end of the show, which again is the last 2 episodes that the Loki writers had to fucking come in and butcher. But again, like, why? Why are we doing that? Like, I genuinely don't understand why you would stray away from the original show that much when the Punisher and Daredevil are by far the best duo in the show. But oh my gosh, we gotta get more Kingpin, we gotta get more Vanessa, we gotta get more of that fucking therapist, we gotta show Muse. Why? They don't go anywhere, they fucking suck. And I'm gonna spoil something for you. The best episodes in this season by far are the episodes where they're not in it. Because sorry, let me clarify. Whenever Vanessa, Kingpin, and those other fucking characters that I'll get to in a minute aren't in it, they're fucking stupid, they're annoying. And then they even had the audacity to fucking kill off Foggy. Let me talk about Muse. So there's this character, from what I remember, Muse, who was not a very old kid. He was like 20 or so years old. I don't really remember. I was struggling to stay awake whenever that part came up. But his storyline just goes nowhere. And critics of the show get so much hate for not talking about Muse. But I'm going to spoil something for you. The show doesn't talk about him much either. And again, Matt Murdock just spends so much of this season, I mean so much of this season, just doing nothing with characters we don't give a shit about. It's crazy to think about how a show could be so expensive and have so much more resources than its original, yet have some of the worst fighting choreography that I've ever seen in a TV show in my life. The first episode is pretty solid. I mean, the CGI is a bit obvious, but it's pretty fucking good. But the last two episodes suffers from a lot of Zack Snyder's slow-mo. I mean, it's still fine because it's characters that, you know, I give a shit about. But again, the original show just had so much amazing fighting choreography, and it had much less resources at their disposal. But okay, now I want to talk about Kingpin. Kingpin gets a lot of fucking screen time. Like a lot. I don't even know why the show's called Daredevil, because Kingpin gets about 5 times more screen time than Daredevil. And again, I usually give a spoiler-free review, but again, I'm just like, you're not gonna care about spoilers for this, because when you watch it, you're gonna understand exactly what I'm saying. And to spoil something for you again, because again, I know I spoiled so much shit for you, but Daredevil's only in the show in the beginning and in the end, and that one fight that he has with Muse. But one would think Matt would have this huge cathartic moment where he returns to becoming Daredevil, but here he just says fuck it and puts on a suit.
Fuck it.
Is that a joke?
No.
This movie's gonna be awful.
I often heard the show being described in food analogies and another corporate show, but honestly, with the amount of blood and gore, it really just feels like someone at the studio saw The Boys and thought to themselves, oh yeah, we need that. And there's a huge noticeable disconnect in the show's violent nature and its comedic undertone. And this is a show where Matt Murdock breaks a dude's leg to a villain who kidnaps people and uses their blood to do graffiti, to a show where Kingpin breaks the commissioner's jaw straight off their face. And when I tell you that the most gory and violent parts of this season don't even come from Frank Castle's Punisher, I want you to know that I'm not fucking joking. Again, I just don't understand why there's such a huge emphasis on these characters that we don't give a fuck about. Like, we don't give a fuck about Matt Murdock's boss. We don't give a fuck about Miss Marvel's dad. And we sure as hell don't give a fuck about Kingpin and Vanessa this much. I can't say it enough. But the show focuses so much on them that I can't help and keep reiterating it. I also find it hilarious how Heather, who is Matt Murdock's love interest in this season, they end up saying to each other that they love one another at the end of the show. And it's the stupidest fucking shit that you'll ever see, because they don't. It's a horrible moment in the show because they spend the whole season arguing with one another. The only time that they get along is when they first meet, and that's it. It would be like if Claire said I love you to Matt from the original show at the end of the first season. Like, that's how stupid it would be. But yeah, this season is a mess, and it fucking blows my mind how I binged the first 3 seasons of the original show and the 2 seasons of the Punisher spinoff just for this fuckfest to ruin my optimism. However, there's one thing that I did like about the show, and it was something that was so ridiculous that you're never gonna guess what it was. But I like how at the end of the show, it showcases Matt Murdock standing up to Kingpin's task force by just having a bar full of a few cops. And the show has comfortably been reviewed at an 8 out of 10, and that is way too fucking generous for me. If I had to rate this show, I would probably give it a 5 out of 10, because it's a fucking mess. It's a mess, and that's such an understatement, but you'll understand once you actually watch the show. And if you did watch the original show, you're gonna like the spin-off even less. I think this show would have been much better if we didn't strive away so much from the original. Like, there's no reason to strive away from the original. The original show is regarded as one of the best superhero shows of all time, if not the best superhero shows of all time. But I'm just gonna say this, it's one of the best shows ever made, because the original season. I mean, I feel like I don't even have to say that, but the fact that I have to whenever I'm talking about this fucking spinoff to give you some insight on just how bad it is, I really just can't. So yeah, this season's gonna get a 5 out of 10 for me. And I'm really grateful that the Loki writers are taking over the show, because whoever was writing the show, yeah. So yeah, that's about it.